Some secrets stay hidden for years, sometimes even for decades. I never imagined that one conversation with my mother would completely change the way I see my life. But that evening, sitting at our old dining table, she told me something I was never prepared to hear.
Melody Matthews almost ignored the call. It was late afternoon and she was halfway through replying to emails when her phone rang. The screen flashed Mom. Normally, Sandra would just send a short message, "Call me when you're free." But this time, she called 3 times in a row. That alone made Melody uneasy. When she finally picked up, her mother's voice sounded different, quieter than usual. "Melody, can you come by the house today?" "Is everything okay?" Melody asked immediately. There was a pause, a long one. "Yes," Sandra said, but it didn't sound convincing. "I just need to talk to you." That was how Melody ended up driving across town to the small house she had grown up in. The same house with the faded blue deeds and the big mango tree leaning slightly over the roof. Nothing about the place had changed much over the years, but the moment Melody stepped inside, she felt something was off. Her mother was sitting at the dining table with both hands wrapped around a cup of tea. The tea had gone cold, Melody could tell from the way the steam was long gone, but Sandra was still holding it like it was the only thing keeping her steady. "Mom," Melody said, dropping her bag on the chair. Her mother looked up. Her eyes were tired. "You came quickly." "Well, you sounded like something was wrong," Melody replied. "Where's Dad?" "At work," Sandra said. That wasn't unusual. John Matthews often stayed late at the garage he owned. Still, something about the way Sandra answered made Melody pull out a chair and sit down. "So, what's going on?" Sandra didn't respond immediately. She rubbed her hands together and looked at the table like she was trying to gather the courage to say something difficult. "You're 25 now," she said finally. Melody frowned. "That's not exactly breaking news." Sandra gave a small, nervous smile that disappeared almost immediately. "There's something I should have told you years ago," she continued. Melody leaned back in her chair, half curious, half confused. "Okay." Sandra looked straight at her now. "The man you grew up calling your father, John." Melody waited. Sandra's voice softened. "He's not your biological father." For a moment, Melody thought she had misheard. She blinked. "What?" "John raised you," Sandra said quickly. "He chose to raise you. But biologically, he isn't your father." Melody let out a short laugh, the kind people make when something sounds too strange to be real. "Mom, what are you talking about?" "I'm telling you the truth." Melody stared at her. The kitchen suddenly felt very quiet. "But Dad, John, he's always been my dad." "And he still is," Sandra said gently. "Nothing about that changes." "Then why say it like that?" Sandra took a slow breath. "Because there's someone else." Melody crossed her arms. "Who?" "His name is Richard." The name didn't immediately mean anything to Melody. She searched her memory but found nothing. "Who is he?" she asked. Sandra hesitated. "He is the man I was with before I met John." Melody's eyebrows pulled together. "You mean an ex?" Sandra nodded slowly. "We were together for a while, but things didn't work out. He left town." "And?" Sandra looked down at the table again. "I found out I was pregnant after he left." Melody's stomach tightened. "So he never knew?" "I tried to reach him," Sandra said quietly, "but he had already moved away. I didn't know where he went." Melody shook her head slowly, trying to process everything. "And then you met Dad?" "Yes." Sandra's voice softened when she mentioned John. "He knew about the pregnancy from the beginning. I told him everything." Melody blinked. "He knew?" "Yes." "And he still married you?" Sandra nodded. "He said a child deserved stability. He said he didn't mind." Melody let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "That sounds like him," she said quietly. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Melody asked the question that had been building in her mind. "Why are you telling me this now?" Sandra's fingers tightened around the cup. "Because Richard contacted me." Melody straightened in her chair. "What?" "A few months ago," Sandra said, "he found me. How? Through someone we both used to know. Melody rubbed her forehead. So, after 25 years, he suddenly shows up. Sandra nodded.
What exactly?
He said he never knew
To meet
about
you.
you. And you
meet me?
believed him?
After all this time?
I don't know what to believe,
wanted to
Sandra
explain.
admitted. But when I told him, he was shocked. Melody looked away for a moment. And what does he want? Sandra swallowed. He asked if he could meet you.
He asked if he could meet
The
you.
words landed heavily. Melody stood up and walked toward the window. Outside, the sky had darkened and rain was beginning to fall lightly. This is a lot to drop on someone in one afternoon, she said. I know. Does Dad know about this? Yes. And he's okay with it? Sandra sighed. It said the decision should be yours. Melody turned around slowly. That must have been hard for him. Sandra nodded again. It was. Melody imagined John sitting in his chair in the living room, watching television the same way he had every evening. The idea that he had known this secret the entire time made her chest feel tight.
Where is this guy now?
Where is this guy now? Melody asked. Richard? Yes. Sandra hesitated.
Where is this guy now?
He's staying at the
Richard?
Riverside
Yes,
Hotel.
he's staying at the Riverside
Melody
Hotel.
let out a
Yes.
quiet breath. In this town? Yes. Melody shook her head slowly.
That's
unbelievable. I didn't tell you earlier because I wasn't sure what to do, Sandra said. But I realized it wasn't my decision to make. The rain outside started coming down harder. Melody picked up her bag from the chair. Are you going somewhere? Melody asked. I just need some air, Melody replied. Melody, you don't have to rush into anything. I'm not, she said. She walked toward the door but paused before stepping outside. Mom? Sandra looked up. Yes? Dad? John? He's still my dad. Relief flickered across Sandra's face. I know. Melody nodded once and stepped outside into the rain. The street looked exactly the same as it had always had, but everything felt different now. Somewhere across town, a man named Richard was waiting, hoping to meet a daughter he had never known existed. And at the garage on the other side of town, John Matthews was closing up for the day, unaware that the secret he had carried quietly for 25 years had finally been spoken aloud.